All right, thanks, guys. Welcome to the show. Got some lines and purslines out for our NCAA college football Final Four tournament. But before we get into some more of that, I just want to quickly remind you to check me out at patreon.com/BrockPage. And with a documented win percentage of 60% for the entire year of 2017, you're certainly costing yourself some valuable information each and every day you're not subscribed. Now, memberships begin at just $1.99 per month for that website. We have plenty of free content there as well. So once again, please feel free to just hit that pause button right now. Open up your browser. All you got to do is type in patreon.com/BrockPage. It'll only take you a couple of seconds. Link is in the description section below. And if you are a current patron of mine and you're currently watching me right now, I simply cannot thank you enough. You most certainly make it all worth it. With all that said and done, let's go ahead and get into some lines and purslines for our 2018 college football playoff. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And up first, we have Notre Dame taking on Clemson. That is going to be a 4 o'clock Eastern kickoff this Saturday at AT&T Stadium, Jerry World. Clemson opened the betting as the 10.5 point favorite. They're now minus 13. That number moved upward despite the players being suspended for Clemson. Totals at 55 even. 59% are leaning Notre Dame. 58% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Fighting Irish are plus 385. Meanwhile, the Tigers of Clemson are minus 430 for some money line cash themselves. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at Notre Dame real quick. They are 12-0 straight up overall for the year. 5-0 against, 5-0 straight up in their games away from home. Notre Dame has some marquee outright wins over the likes of USC, Syracuse, Florida State, Northwestern, Virginia Tech, and Stanford, just to name a few. This Notre Dame offense is putting up 40 points per contest on the road. They're also running for 181 yards on the ground when traveling. Notre Dame 7-5 against the spread overall for the year, 4-2 ATS in their games away from home. Now, the Fighting Irish are covering 67% of their ball games, taking on teams over 700. That's a 700 win percentage. Notre Dame's also covering 75% of their ball games, taking on teams allowing less than 25 points per contest. Now, if you want to take a look at this Clemson side, I wouldn't say quite disparaging numbers, but they're not on the same page as Notre Dame, especially considering they had a slew of players get suspended. But regardless of those players being kicked out, Clemson's still 0-2 against the number in their last couple of games. They failed to cover in their last couple. Clemson's also just 2-2 against the spread in their last 4, taking on teams over 700 themselves. The Tigers have failed to cover in 3 out of their last 5, taking on teams allowing less than 25 points per contest. And this Clemson defense gave up 26 points to Texas A&M, 23 points to Syracuse, and 35 to South Carolina. Now, scoring-wise, Clemson is 4-2 to the over in their games away from home. 3 out of their last 6 got over the total as well. Meanwhile, on the Notre Dame side, they're 4-2 to the over in their games on the road themselves. 3 out of their last 4 got over the total when they were taking on teams allowing less than 25 points per contest. This Notre Dame offense is also putting up 40 points per game away from home. The Fighting Irish are also 75% to the over on the road, taking on teams allowing less than 25 points per contest. So with all that said and done, cheer, cheer. I'm going to take Notre Dame plus 13 and the over 55 total points in that one. All right, next game, Oklahoma taking on Alabama, 8 o'clock Eastern kickoff Saturday night at the Hard Rock. Bama opened 13.5 up to 14. Total opened 79 down to 77 and a hook. 51% are leaning Sooners, 61% shaded toward the under. Oklahoma's plus 475 for some money line cash. Alabama's minus 540 on the money line themselves. Now, Alabama's 13-0 straight up overall for the year, 5-0 straight up in their games away from home. This Bama offense is putting up 48 points per contest. They're running for 202 yards rushing on the ground per game as well. Alabama's 8-4 against the spread overall for the year. 67% they're covering overall. Bama's also 4-2 against the spread on the road. 8-4 against the spread when laying the points. The Crimson Tide are covering 67% of their ball games as the official road favorite. They're also covering 67% of their games, taking on teams over 700. Bama 5-1 against the spread in their last 6. They successfully covered the number in 3 out of their last 4 away from home. They have some marquee covers over the likes of Auburn, LSU, and Mississippi State. They've also covered spreads of 37, 29.5, and 28 points respectively. That's all a lay. That's all when they're favored. The big question, though, I made the case for Bama here, but the big question is, what was their level of competition? They played a lot of really weak teams. And what is the health of Tua Tagovailoa? Bama's also failed to cover in 2 out of their last 3, taking on teams allowing more than 32 points per contest. The Crimson Tide also failed to cover against the likes of Georgia and Texas A&M. Now on the other side, this Oklahoma offense, well, they're putting up 49 points per contest on the road. They're also running for 269 yards on the ground. They have some marquee covers over the likes of Texas, West Virginia, Kansas State, and TCU. Oklahoma's also successfully covered their number in 3 out of their last 6 when traveling. They covered 2 out of their last 3, taking on teams over 700. And when it comes to the scoring, Oklahoma, a lot of overs in those Big 12 matchups. 11-2 to the over in their games overall for the year. 5-0 to the over in their games away from home. Meanwhile, on the Bama side, they're 9-4 to the over for the season. 3-2 to the over in their games away from home themselves. So with all that said and done, I'm going to take another dog in these playoffs. Give me the Oklahoma Sooners plus 14 in the over 77.5 in this one. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me. But before I get out of here, I just want to once again quickly remind you to check me out at patreon.com/BrockPage. And once again, with a documented win percentage of 60% for the entire year of 2017, you're certainly costing yourself some valuable information each and every day you're not subscribed. Memberships begin at just $1.99 per month. There's also plenty of free content there as well. So once again, please feel free to just hit that pause button or finish this video. Open up your browser and just check me out at patreon.com/BrockPage. It'll only take you a couple of seconds. Link is in the description section below. And if you are a current patron of mine and you're currently watching me right now, I simply cannot thank you enough. You most certainly make it all worth it. And most importantly, thank you for watching today's program. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free information. And once again, we were taking a look here at the 2018 college football playoff scenario. That is Notre Dame at number 3 taking on Clemson number 2. That was Oklahoma number 4 against Bama number 1. My leans on that game, I went ahead and took the underdog in that Notre Dame-Clemson game. I leaned Notre Dame plus 13 and the over 55 in that one. I also took Oklahoma plus 14 in the over 77.5 in that ball game there. We did have some significant line movement on those games. Clemson opened the betting as the 10.5 point favorite with the total at 55. And since those markets opened that one up, we saw significant money on Clemson, although we may see some buyback in that game with the upcoming suspensions of some Clemson players. We didn't see a whole lot of movement on the total, but once again, we saw a 2.5 point move on the number when it comes to that Notre Dame-Clemson game. Clemson right now is minus 13. So once again, Clemson opened 10.5 up to minus 13. Total open end remains at 55. Currently, 59% of the consensus is on the Fighting Irish. Meanwhile, 58% of the action is on the over. Fighting Irish are plus 385 on the money line. Clemson minus 430. And then in our other game, Bama opened 13.5 with the total at 79. Since the markets opened that one up, we saw a little bit of movement on Bama. I think a lot of folks liking the health status of Tua. We also saw movement downward on the total. I think that's directly linked to this Alabama defense. But anyway, Bama right now is minus 14 with the total moving downward to 77.5. So once again, Bama opened 13.5 up to 14. Total open 79 down to 77.5. 51% of the consensus is on the Sooners. 61% shaded toward the under. If you like Oklahoma in an upset, it's going to pay you well. They're plus 475. Bama minus 540. So anyway, that is going to do it for me. Once again, I really hope you enjoyed all this great free information. And please don't forget to check me out at patreon.com/BrockPage.